In a world where we have everything and it's still not enough, we're often left wondering, is this really it?
Deep inside, you know there's more to life. You're ready to leave behind the old push your way through and claim the deeper, more meaningful life that's calling you.
That's what we invite you to explore with us.
We're your hosts,
Stephanie Allen
and Maren. And this is the Soulful Leader Podcast.
Yay! Hi, welcome to the Soulful Leader Podcast. This is Stephanie and I'm here with Maren. And we're taking a deep dive into the ocean of the unknown today. And what I mean by that is that the emotion, energy in motion. One of the things that I am so fascinated by is that in our world, we so want to avoid any kind of emotion, unless it's peaceful, unless it's pleasant. And how is that working for us? Not so much in this world.
Well, we're taught that, negative emotions, anger, depression, sadness, like that they're bad, wrong, something, they need to be fixed in some way, mitigated, etc.
Yeah. So what we end up doing is pushing them away or blocking them or, glorifying positive thinking. We're going to look at the optimistic point of view. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not talking about right, wrong. But there's a problem with that is because where does all of this energy or emotion go? Like we just think, oh, well, it's not in me, so it goes away. But it doesn't. Just because we're blocking it or we're ignoring it doesn't mean that it's gone away. And part of that, when we think of flow, we do a lot with flow consulting. We help people find their path of least resistance, meaning when you drop into the very river of your stream of consciousness, which you are uniquely born with, your gifts, your strengths, your passion, your values. And when you start to strengthen that you get into flow. And what happens when you're in flow is that you become illuminated. You actually lighten up. And when you lighten up, you are inspired, you are hopeful, you are passionate, you're positive, and things start to happen naturally for the better of you. Good things start to come in your way. You start to become attracted and attractive.
Right.
And when we don't, we get stuck and stifled and we create pain in our bodies, in our minds. And this is something that I work with a lot in the way of pain in people's bodies. So people come in to see me and they might say, I have a shoulder pain. And I might say, okay, well, what do you want to change to be different? And they're like, well, make it go away. Make it go away. And I'm like, but there's so much more. I always say, if you could have figured out how to solve that shoulder problem, there is so much information in the world today. Right. You would have figured it out. So it's not coming from an information level. It's not coming from a physical form, unless you say, well, I fell down the stairs last week and my shoulder hurts. Okay, well, that's a physical thing, but we can solve that physical issue. But when someone has had a pain or an ache for
like a chronic,
right, for a long, long time, there's a lot more going on. And we tend to, as a society, not want to look underneath the surface because that's messy. What are you talking about? Why are you lifting up the sheets? I stuff all kind. It's like, my niece is so great because I can relate to this. I was just like her. You get sent up to your room because your room is messy and you say, you're not going out until you clean up your room. And magically in a matter of 15 minutes, the room is clean. And then someone goes upstairs to inspect that room and you pull up the bed skirt and you notice that the entire room has been shoved underneath the bed skirt. And so to the outer form, it's like, oh yeah, the room is nice and clean, but under the bed skirt, it's a hot mess.
Right.
And we do that all the time with everything in our lives. So we might eat well, we might exercise, we might take showers, we might brush our teeth, but there's a lot under the bed skirt. There's a lot under the bed skirt, people, because there's a lot mentally and emotionally and even spiritually that has been shoved and pushed aside. And this matters.
Yeah. This is why it's scary to look under there, right? To look inside. And the reason that we avoid it, we're like, oh, kind of like the episode that we did about my garage, right? My 4-car garage that was full of crap. And it's like, I didn't even want to look in it. And that's the way we are with our insides, you know?
It's uncomfortable.
It's
It's
uncomfortable.
like, what are you talking about? I shoved that under there a long time. I don't even know what's in there. And please don't lift that bed skirt.
Right.
Because it's there and I don't want to go there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a cost of not going there.
There is. There's a big cost.
There's a big cost.
Well, I know for myself, because we all do it, right? The cost is that it will show up in my body as pain or a random emotion like that just sideswipes me in a very inopportune time, right? When I'm about to give a talk or I'm supposed to be, leading something and all of a sudden it's like I get grumpy out of nowhere. And I'll make up a story about why. Oh, that's because so-and-so said something, or I just got this. And it's really because there's all this stuff that's shoved under the hood, under the bed skirt. And maybe somebody's face looked, or a tone of voice came out, like I overheard a tone of voice that reminded me of, my 3rd grade teacher. And all of a sudden I'm triggered. Mm-hmm. And I make up a story about in the moment but really what was going on is I have all of this baggage under the hood that I haven't looked at. And so it's going to come up. And it does come up at really crappy
times. And it's going
to
push itself out either as high blood pressure or, some sort of skin irritation or violently yelling at somebody like, anger. Whoa, what did I just say? Or I can't take that back now. And, that's so interesting because when we think, I want more space in my life, I want more time, I want more energy. By the way, anything that you've put underneath the bed and the bed skirt is hiding, it's taking your time, your energy, and your space.
It does.
And if you want more, it's going to take courage. It's going to take self-love and compassion to go in and lift that bed skirt and go, okay, what the heck is under there? And there's some great treasure under there. Here's the thing. I just had a wonderful client the funny part of it is that I have a lawnmower that's not working and it's just a small little lawnmower. And the part of my internal dialogue was going, oh, no, I can't do this. I don't have time. I really don't even have time or energy to go and take it to have it fixed. Or, and then the other part of me was like, oh, I just really need a man in my life to go and fix my lawnmower. Poor me. Wah, wah, wah. And so instead of ignoring all of that stuff, I just sat with it. I sat with the uncomfortability and the sadness and the anger and all the icky stuff that I had.
I love this. I'm going to interrupt you just for a second. So you said, we can go and look under the bed skirt. Mm-hmm. Here's the good news is you don't actually have to go look under the bed skirt because it's going to keep coming out and trying to
It goes looking for you.
It comes looking for you.
It does.
And this is what happened, right? So you went into poor me, wah, wah. And you recognized in that moment of this is coming out. This is like something coming out from under the bed and reaching for you. Right? Like from a horror movie.
Right. And then,
rather than just running from it, you're like, no, I'm going to just be present to it.
And I felt the loneliness. I felt the anger. I felt the sadness. Mm. I felt the fear of oh my gosh, am I ever going to be able to take care of myself? And I didn't. And when I didn't identify with all it, what I practiced was being a witness of that. It's like, if you can imagine sitting on your bed and then lifting up the bed skirt and all of those critters coming out and you're just watching them come out or looking at them going, oh, look at you go, loneliness. Oh, look at you go, anger. Look at that. And I was just in awe and amusement of them. But I gave them space and I freed them. So they are no longer underneath my bed. And I'm like, okay, because I had to feel them. I had to feel them. And it's icky. I know that. It's icky. But in doing so, all of a sudden, this enlightening moment came up and said, you know what? There's YouTube. I'm going to YouTube this thing. And so I YouTubed it. And it's like, oh, it's meaning me. Yeah, I'm going to look at how to fix my lawnmower, right? And so I'm like, okay. And I have this wonderful office manager who does a lot of wonderful design things. So I kind of was trying to slough it off to him going, hey, do you think you could fix my lawnmower? And he's like, Stephanie, I don't do that kind of stuff. I don't get my hands messy. And I'm like, started to laugh. And I'm like, I guess I'm going to have to do this. So I lovingly said, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. And just as I got everything together as to my little list to go out to the store to buy what I needed and kind of prep myself, I had this young person come in, this lovely young person come in as a client, and he was late. He was late for his session. And I asked him why he was late. And he said, well, I was on my way and I saw that somebody had thrown out this ride-on lawn tractor. And he said, and it was looked pretty good. And he said, so I picked it up, took it home. And all it was a dirty carburetor. All I had to do was clean it out and it started up like a dream. He said, so I was just I was so involved with that. And he said, I think I can, tune it up and sell it for a good price. And I'm like, you just restored my heart in humanity, because we so throw things out. And I'm not just talking about lawnmowers. I'm talking about people, relationships. Ideas, parts of ourselves, passions, dreams. We just toss them out to the curb thinking that, oh, well, next, or whatever. Instead of sometimes it just needs a little carburetor cleaning, which is like looking underneath your bed skirt and cleaning it out for a moment. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of that. Anyway, as he's saying this, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, do you think you could fix my carburetor on my little tiny lawnmower? He's like, yeah, I got all the tools here with me. It took him 5 minutes to clean up my lawnmower. And then he mowed my lawn. And I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. And I guess I'm saying is like, as you start to look underneath your bed skirt and you start to see what's there are great gifts. There's great energy. And then literally, I believe that the universe wants to help you. If it's not yours to do, the universe really wants to help you and support you up to actually getting that done. And I had planned that, it was going to probably take me 3 hours, 4 hours. I had to get the stuff. It's going to cost me lots of money, take me lots of time. Wow. That's more stuff coming out from underneath my bed skirt, But I think that's the value of being able to look within.
Yeah.
And look within and clean out what's in the mind, the itty bitty shitty, the kakapupuness that I've referred to, but also to feel the feelings too, to not be afraid, because we do stuff them. And just because you stuff them doesn't mean they're gone. They're still wreaking havoc. And they take up space and they cause reaction. They cause inflammation.
Well, and I love the witness that when you make space inside, oftentimes the solution shows up outside in a much more elegant way than you could have ever figured out or made happen yourself.
Completely surprised and delighted me.
Right. Don't we all want more surprise and delight in our lives? Right.
It was a win-win-win all the way around. He came in, had a session, and I paid him to do my lawn, and he mowed my lawn for me. I was like, we got so much done. He was happy. I was happy. It was great.
We so think that we're supposed to figure out and make surprise and delight happen. And that's not how it works. How it works is we actually trudge through the swamp of what we've shoved places. And we go, you know what? I'm willing to look at it. I'm willing to look. And it's not easy work. And
it's definitely not easy. And it's not comfortable.
It's not comfortable.
It is definitely not comfortable.
And it will free up so much space and so much time. I think about this from a business perspective because, we're sold all of this stuff of if you just, do this for 30 days on LinkedIn, and if you do this and you have to, join this networking group and you do this, and everybody's got a solution for what's going to fix your business. And they're all things that work. How do you know what's yours to do and when? And what if it literally could surprise and delight you just like that, where the right thing would show up at the right moment and it's going to take you 3 hours less because somebody else is going to do it, and it's going to cost you less money because you didn't have to like figure it all out, all because you went in and did a little bit of inner work. And I say a little bit of inner work because it's always more overwhelming looking under the bed than it is when you start to actually go through it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You know, the scary part is when you open, you open the junk closet and things start to
And
fall
everything
out.
falls
You're
out on top of you.
"No!"
But now it's out. Now you've opened the door. It's all fallen out all over the floor. It's spring cleaning. And you're like, okay, I can either just shove it all back in here, but it's going to take me as much energy and effort to shove it all back in than for me to then just sit with this and sort it and release it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. And sometimes, like this young person who found this ride-on mower on the side of the road for free, it took him, a very little time to go and fix it up with almost no money whatsoever. And he turned it around to make a really good pocket change. Yeah. Really good money. For a 17-year-old, heck, that was a pretty good income.
That's great.
And it's a metaphor for ourselves too. It's like, if you want to get energy, this is the best, and health and well-being, this is the best way. I've seen this happen when I work a lot with parents, and they're struggling so much with their child at home. Either their child is going through some sort of crisis. Well, what teenager doesn't go through some sort of crisis, right? That's when we start really stuffing stuff under the bed. But I mean, seriously. And that teenager going through that crisis is literally upheaving everybody's bed skirt in the house, because it's like, what?
It triggers everything.
It triggers everything. It's like, okay, the teenager is going through depression. Well, now it triggers the depression in everybody else in the house. That teenager is going through an existential crisis. Who am I? Why am I here? What is it? I don't know where I'm going. I'm unclear. It triggers an existential, crisis in everybody else in the house. So this is the value of looking underneath the bed, because when you can go in and you can face that loneliness, and you can face that anger, or face that sadness with love, with kindness, as a witness, then when it shows up in your outer life with loved ones or colleagues or friends, then you already have space for them. And you won't need to fix them. You don't get triggered.
Right.
You don't take it on. You don't take it personally. And your heart is open so that there's enormous amount of love for that being and empathy, without smothering them or without running away. Like, it's just so, so valuable.
We talked to Jeff Sanchez recently, and he was talking about having been bullied when he was younger. And if he hadn't done his own work with that, it's so easy to turn around and become the bully or 100%. Be triggered by somebody who's being, he jokingly, he lovingly calls. Oftentimes we'll say, it's like we're the island of misfit toys, right? Where people can come together and support each other from that place and not get triggered, because Jeff is there as holding that space because he's done his work. Mm-hmm. He's looked at that part of himself, and he's not in a reactionary mode from it.
Yeah.
And for me, when I look at the leaders who are the best leaders out there, whether you're leading your family or, some neighborhood kids or whatever, it's coming from that place of, I have space because I've done my work.
Mm-hmm.
Even it's like, just like I said, it always seems much bigger and more daunting when it's just like the little kid who's scared of something under the bed, and when you shine the light, it's like, no, there's nothing there, right? Or, it's that small little thing projecting on the screen.
Isn't that a witness? We're talking about shoving stuff under the bed, and little kids are afraid of the boogeyman or the big monster that's in the closet. And this is what we're talking about. Yeah. On an energetic level. We are literally putting things under the bed or putting things in the closet. There are monsters. And when you shine the light, like you said, Maren, all of a sudden they're just like a little ant, or they're just like a little, but it's amazing how something so small can actually create such havoc in our life. It's like an eyelash in your eye or a pebble in your shoe. It really can throw off your whole posture or your whole existence inside.
I like to think of it as exposing the man behind the curtain in The Wizard
Wizard of Oz.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wait, you're just a man. Yep. You know what? It's just a grumpy part of us. That's not who we really are.
So we think of this like you said, in businesses, in cultures. So we think about a positive work culture or a positive family culture or relationship culture or whatever we're speaking of. It's like when we say you haven't done your inner work, well, what does that mean, right? The inner work. It means taking time to stop, look, listen, and feel inside. Stop, drop, and listen. To go inside and really go, okay, what's going on inside me? What's underneath my bed skirt right now? What have I stuffed that's coming up? Not because I did something bad or wrong, but it's coming up because I'm ready and willing to actually face it.
I love that. Can you repeat that?
I don't know. I think I can, in the way of like, sometimes when people come to me and they said, our last session together was really tough. And the next day I got up, I felt really sore and I was in a lot of pain. And they're often very surprised with me because I'll say, wow, that's fantastic. And they're like, what? I just told you I was in pain. And I said, that means you lifted up the bed skirt and you're looking at something that was probably painful for a long, long time. And now you have the space and the capacity to face it.
Yeah.
Which means you're ready. You're ready to move. You're ready to move to another level. It's like the old up leveling, right? Like you're going to level up. It's like, well, you die 100 times in the video games before you learn how to get to the next level. It's like, that's our ego actually dying. It's like our ego has to keep dying and dying so that you can pick up the bed skirt and go, okay, you little boogeyman, where are you? Who are you? You little booger, get out here. I want to talk to you because you're wreaking havoc. And we got to talk about this, The
thing is that it really does come up because we have the tools and we are ready.
Yeah.
To deal with it, to look at it. It just is that then we turn away and we keep running. So we think that we're not.
Yeah. Because a lot of times we don't know, not that we just don't know how, we also need others around us. This is why support groups are so amazing. I always say, find your people, the been there, done that, got the t-shirt people, whatever that is, and who have overcome. So, if you've been bullied, find a group of individuals who have overcome being bullied, who are now loving themselves and loving others. Or if you're a cancer survivor, find a group that have transcended cancer and are living fulfilled, healthy, wonderful lives. Go be with them because they have something to offer and they have space and capacity to listen and to have empathy to be with you without trying to fix or change you. That's not what they literally will witness you. And this is what we need is we're witnessing the parts of ourselves that we made unacceptable, that we made wrong, that we made bad, we were ashamed of, and we shoved it under the bed. But it can't stay there. It needs to come up because it wants healing and it wants help. And it's ready. So if you're aware of the pain or the difficulties, the emotional, mental, spiritual things, it's because you're ready. Mm-hmm. And I would say, fantastic. Congratulations. And find someone to talk to about it. Who has faced it themselves. That's the key. Who has faced it themselves. Because if you find somebody else who hasn't, who's also going through the same thing, sometimes you get entangled into each other's drama.
Yeah.
So you need to find someone who's a little bit more ahead of you on the path, whatever that means to you.
And I would just invite, if there are leaders out there who are looking for that, that's what we do, is we work with leaders from the inside out, because that's who we are. That's what our area of expertise is. So we would love to talk to you. If that's something that you're looking for, certainly reach out to us and contact us.
Absolutely. You are so worthy. I just want to say, it's like, we are all worthy of being able to go in and unpack what's underneath our bed skirt. So it's like, what's under the hood? right? Let's see how so that we can clean it. We can clean out that carburetor so that you can run smoothly and powerfully and more efficiently. Like
going back to the very beginning, you said that, that's our flow state. That is our natural state, and it's our flow state. And there's nothing wrong with us that it's now gunky. That's what happens with use.
That's right. And emotion is energy in motion. That's flow. So whether it's tears, whether it's rage, whether it's fear, whether it's lonely, whether it's laughter and love, we shut those things down too, of like, okay, we're having too much fun. Just settle down. It's time to go to bed now. Quiet down. It's like we stuff everything. And where's it going? I mean, whether we do that in our physical bodies, whether we do that in our minds or our emotions, we also do it with stuff, with materialism, with consumerism, with food. We do that. We stuff it. And then like, what if we could face it with love and kindness? And what if you didn't have to face it alone? That's, to me, is healing. And we are all worthy of taking the time to look underneath what's under the hood.
That's our vision, is for all people to feel loved and worthy. And
imagine a world.
Imagine a world where you know that you're here for a reason, because you are valuable, and
and that everything that gets stuffed underneath the bed is actually treasure.
Yeah.
Like, just like this young man, somebody else's junk was his treasure.
Exactly.
And it is true for us too. What's been stuffed underneath your bed, some of it is not even yours. Most of it probably isn't yours. But it's also buried treasure. That's why we bury treasure deep in dark caves and into the ground and into the bottom of the ocean, because we've got to go into that ocean of emotion.
And it's there for us when we're ready for it.
Absolutely.
To bring it up and be like, oh, I found a treasure. Instead of, oh shit, not that again.
I think it would make it more adventurous and more kind if we looked at it that way.
It would.
Rather than the shame.
It would. So I invite everybody this week to, when your shit starts to come up, can you look at it and say, oh, there's a treasure. What is it? What's it asking of? What's it calling to me to, right?
Compost. Going to put it on the garbage. It's going to grow great gardens.
Yeah, exactly. Feed it to the worms. So enjoy as you go through this week, and give some thought to what are some of those inner things that are coming up that are saying, hey, we're ready to bring our treasure into your world, if you'll just give us a little bit of time. So remember, you can find us on our website, thesoulfulleaderpodcast.com, and on our Facebook page and LinkedIn page under The Soulful Leaders. And if you're interested in working with us, visit our Soulful Leader Project website, tslp.life. We'll see you all next week on the Soulful Leader Podcast.
And that wraps up another episode of the Soulful Leader Podcast with your hosts, Stephanie Allen
and Maren Oslack. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to dive deeper, head over to our website at thesoulfulleaderpodcast.com.
Until next time.